Hey there, it's Rusty Nelson, your college art professor, and we are talking watercolor today. Let's see here. I guess I always forget to do this. It's welcome everybody and returning viewers, and especially new viewers coming in, finding the channel and wondering what this is all about. I am Rusty Nelson. I'm a college art professor, soon to retire. I'm doing tutorials and demos on drawing and watercolor on this channel. So if you're interested in learning how to draw and to watercolor paint, this is the channel that you should be tuning into. I'm bringing like 27, 28 years of teaching experience in higher education. A lot of what I teach now up at the university is digital. I'm a graphic designer by profession. So I do a lot of my stuff digitally in various software packages. So it's definitely a big transition over the years. I started college and uh, interested in becoming a graphic designer back before computers were even used heavily in graphic design. So I learned a lot of the old traditional methods, and those methods involved a lot of drawing and marker comps and even being able to paint. Learned a lot about painting with gouache, which is a opaque watercolor back in the day, and that ultimately evolved into a traditional watercolor, the transparent watercolor. So been doing that for about 10, 15, probably, yeah, more like 12, 13 years. That's what I'm doing here. I'm really hoping to get people interested in starting a creative journey, picking up where they may have left off years ago. They're approaching retirement and thinking about things they want to be able to do in retirement. So that's who I'm really kind of hoping to touch and to reach out to, is getting those people back into being creative, back into drawing and painting, and having something to do in retirement other than just playing golf and watching TV. So yeah, I'm challenging the golf industry there. So anyway, that's where I'm at. That's what I'm doing here on this channel. And I normally spend about 15 minutes a week on this podcast talking and just getting more accustomed to being on camera. I spent like 25 of my 28 years avoiding video cameras as best I could. I'm normally the person behind the camera, so you normally don't see me in any of the family videos. But I made a decision about 3 years ago to get into more of this type of content creation, and it was an interest to me. It was from a class that I was teaching with my design seniors, and we were doing predominantly social media work, design work for social media, which led to a lot of video, and it led me to a lot of research into producing social media content, be it with video or stills and animation and things like that. So that investigation led me into making the decision to become a content creator. And so so getting in front of the camera has been a challenge, and something that I've been working to improve upon in the last year and a half since I've been on YouTube. So and if you're a returning viewer, I'm sorry you've heard this time and time again, but I just wanted to explain that to any new viewers who might stumble onto the channel. Hopefully by the time I quit rambling on a little bit here, that I'll address a few things that may have come up in comments on any of the videos I have posted. I've been getting a lot of posts and comments on some fairly old videos that have been out there maybe for 6 to 9 months now. So, and that's good. I'm glad to see that those older videos are still generating some views and everything. So, my big goal for this coming year was to hopefully try to do some things that would monetize the channel, and I've been working on that. Haven't really tripped any heavy triggers on it. I want to do a live stream, and that's coming up. I think I can do that as soon as kind of things settle down this summer, and I can get ready and get it implemented and doable for the fall semester. So that will technically mean I have met my goal if I could at least get one podcast out before the end of the year. So I'm doing that. I want to do various forms of videos other than just being in my studio doing demos. I want to get some plein air things going, do some on location scenes, and then also maybe hopefully someday maybe have some live class sessions with actual students and deal with their issues live on camera. So yeah, I have a lot of plans. I just haven't tripped the trigger on a whole lot of them. Oh, I know. The whole summer issue, the transitioning into retirement, that's going to be a challenge. I can see that right now. So this whole summer has been it's been crazy enough that I kind of have cut back. I was doing 2 tutorials a week of drawing in watercolor, and I just for the summer, I think I'm cutting back to just one. So one tutorial, I'll rotate between a watercolor and a drawing. And I do have some really good comments that I want to deal with and talk about on a couple of the upcoming videos. So stay tuned and keep track of those as they are coming online. Let's see. But yeah, I feel like with the channel, I've definitely grown more than I expected when I started the channel. I'm still working to improve a lot of skills, and a lot of these things, especially in this last year, since January, I've been upgrading my technology, and I'm still trying to figure a lot of stuff out. I've been having a devil of a time trying to figure out working with this little Osbot tilt pan zoom camera. They're pretty cool. They have some really nice features, but I just haven't really dialed it in yet. Just yet. I'm working with some new software as well for recording, and it's kind of cool. It's simplified the process a little bit better and makes my editing go faster. But I'm still working out the bugs on being able to videotape in a way that I like. So anyway, that's my weekly row about all my woes and difficulties that I've been having and driving my struggle bus this last few months. So it's getting better. I am feeling better about a lot of different things. It just seems like everything just kind of piled in all at once. So I better get to comments. I did have a comment about brush care. How often, do I really clean, and do I just rinse out the brushes? Do I actually wash them out? I normally will, at the end of a watercolor, I'll take my brushes into the sink and clean them out with some soap. And every now and then I'll miss one or two. I might have set them aside or something. So you'll see that. There's nothing more annoying than dipping your brush into some pure color and you start mixing it on your palette and you start activating all the dried paint inside a brush and it starts affecting your colors. I've done that several times on the tutorials I've done. So yeah, I try to, at the end of a session of a painting session, take my brushes up when I'm cleaning out my glass of water that I've cleaned. As the painting's going along, I'll dump out all the dirty water and get some fresh water, and then I'll just simply clean my brushes out. I don't do anything special with them. I just wash them out with some hand soap and then rinse them really well so that there's no soap in it, and you're ready to go. I think I mentioned this in previous things where you don't let the brushes sit too long in the water. It'll start damaging the paint and loosen everything up around the ferrule. So another comment about painting with big brushes. So there's a lot of brushes things going on in this week's comments. So painting with big brushes. Yeah, work with as big a brush as possible. Somebody was saying they do like little small 5x7s or 4x5s and such. So a big brush in relationship to that would be maybe like a 1-inch brush. So you can cover a lot of real estate with that size of a watercolor painting with that size of brush. But if you get up to the 11x14s or the 16x20s, 18x24s, you need a good 2-inch brush or something really big, like a huge mop. If you're a mop around person getting in there, this will hold tons and tons of pigment and fluids in there to cover the real estate. And that's really what you're trying to do, is to make your washes look effortless. You don't want to get in there and try to make it blend. You work with the dampness of the paper, the saturation of the color and all of that to get those nice, gorgeous watercolor blends to happen. And that does not require a lot of work. It's like put the stuff on and let the watercolor do its work. Just work with, if it feels uncomfortably big, it's probably about the right size. So it's just a matter of how much detail is going to go into that piece. And the scale that you're working on. And I do have my students work fairly intimately in a small size, and then we scale up as we start understanding what the watercolor is doing. So because scale can kind of throw a wrench into progress as you're trying to work with and learn various techniques. So yeah, big brushes. Big brushes are your friend, at least early on when you're color blocking, stage 1, stage 2, and then you can work into getting your smaller brushes, or flipping over to a mop that has a nice point to it. You can get some nice detail with that. So, and then I'm going to do a video coming up this week for somebody who's really frustrated with drawing heads and faces using the Loomis method. And the big question they stated, and I might have said something about this last Talking Watercolor, was they were asking, how do you determine the size of that initial head? So, and I think I essentially addressed it, that if you are drawing using like photographic reference, you can have the reference right next to the drawing you're going to do, and you can kind of gauge how big that circle is going to be based on the reference right next to your drawing. Or just think of it as a scale, a proportion issue. How big of a drawing are you going to do? So you make that initial circle, that decision you make on the scale of the circle is going to determine how big that head is ultimately going to be. So it's try the same face or the same thing you're practicing with the Loomis at various sizes, and just play around with the scale of it. So that initial circle is just ultimately going to determine the overall size of your drawing, that face. So, but yeah, I'm going to do a video on that, and we'll address that. It's going to be kind of a combination tutorial on Loomis, Reilly, and Asaro, kind of all meshed together, and maybe even some of the sighting techniques and shape techniques as well. So it's really, you don't have to be a devoted student to one method or another. You can pick and choose what works best out of any of the methods. And over time, as you develop your drawing skills with faces, all of these guides and methods and stuff, it all becomes internalized, and you can start drawing faces and heads and everything without having to draw all the guides. You just now know in your mind's eye where everything is going to go because you have drawn and practiced it. So then that's the biggest key to it all, is practicing any of the methods, combining the methods, and just drawing faces a lot until it becomes second nature, and you can almost see those things in your mind's eye without even having to lay it down on the paper, and those faces will just emerge naturally because of the knowledge and the skills, the hand-eye coordination, everything you've spent all of that hard time and tears of frustration as you're learning how to draw faces and in various angles and positions and stuff like that. So it just takes a lot of practice to do it. So accept that reality and get in there and just draw all the time. Doodle, take sketchbooks out with you, or have pieces of paper if you're in meetings and stuff. You can kind of doodle on the side. That's active learning. Don't feel bad about doodling on the side while somebody's talking, because it actually helps engage what they're saying as you're working with your doodles in the margins of your piece of paper. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of Talking Watercolor, and I've covered some things that were hopefully interesting to you. And if I did, please give me a like and a subscribe, and definitely give me some comments. Like I said, I like using them as jumping off points for tutorials or things I can talk about in Talking Watercolor. So give me some comments. I really do appreciate it. And if you think I'm doing anything on this channel where I'm doing free tutorials for people to learn how to be creative and start a creative journey, head over to my Patreon channel and drop me a $5 a month membership. It helps immensely. It helps me with everything that I'm trying to do. Drop that money in there for me. I do appreciate it. That was a blatant plug, wasn't it? Anyway, and somebody else, I think I talked about this a few weeks ago about they liked everything about what's going on. They just didn't like my attitude. All right, I'm digressing again. So anyway, also head into my video description. I was landing the plane. I got distracted. Head in my video description, and I have all sorts of links and affiliate links to click on. You takes you into Amazon. You'll be able to buy some of the products and of the things I use when drawing. So I can definitely talk more about the types and styles of brushes too coming up. So stay tuned for that, and I'll see you guys in the next Talking Watercolor.